Hello, everyone. This is Coach Sandra, and thank you for tuning in. Today, I'd like to briefly talk about difficult clients, and I don't know how extensive this is going to be because this is sort of an impromptu difficult client or a potential difficult client. So I have to say that in over 15 years of working with people as a coach, and doing some counseling and mentoring, I have to say that I've only encountered really one person that stands out right now that was really difficult. So I've been very, very fortunate. Um, so what I mean by difficult, let me just define it right now, is someone who is unwilling to take personal responsibility for their actions, their words, and their behavior on a consistent basis, and or if within a conversation this individual is unwilling to listen and really basically is unreasonable, right? Somebody that sometimes we might define, this person's going crazy on me, or they're lashing out and so forth. So let's kind of keep this into perspective, and that's what I mean about difficult clients, because let's be honest, when we're working with people and we're changing behavior, or helping people make the changes they need in order for them to change their so-called negative habits or their limited belief systems and so forth, there is a metamorphosis going on, right? People are really changing, and they're making strides to become more satisfied and fulfilling in their lives. And so this process comes with a lot of uncertainty sometimes, and doubts, and a plethora of different emotions and experiences. And so as a coach, as a practitioner, we usually, if we're trained to do so, is hold that space for that individual so that they can go ahead and process what they need to. And sometimes it's unpleasant, right? But we're sort of trained to be able to handle the more difficult situations and not take anything personal. So going back to the difficult client, some of my colleagues actually sort of boast about how they take anyone. I'll take anyone, I'll be someone to work with anyone. And so that, to me, sometimes, I wouldn't say it's alarming, but it does make me wonder. And so I'm going to come to my point. First of all, they're not wrong, and I'm not wrong. Neither of us are wrong. It's just a mentality. It's just a different way of looking at things. As another colleague of mine had said, who's older than I am, said, I don't always have the energy to want to deal with people that are going to be extremely difficult. So at the International Coach Federation, of course, I have formal education with different institutes, as well as the International Coach Federation. And what they do is they teach you, or they teach us as coaches, to discern, to really be able to figure out to the best of our ability who is going to be the right fit in order to work together. And so I have some questions as I'm interviewing people, because many times we think, especially in the Western world, we're the ones that are seeking out the practitioner, and we choose the practitioner. But if we go back to some Eastern philosophies, a lot of the teachers there used to think that it was the teacher that actually chose the student, or chose the person that they were going to mentor. And of course, in modern day, it's about working with people. So one of the things that I do within my consultations is I ask questions to see if the potential client and I can work well together. Not because they're saying something necessarily that benefits me, right? I'm looking for, speaking about being a neuroplastician, I'm looking for plasticity. I'm looking for someone who's flexible. I'm asking them questions about a little bit about their history, what they have done, what modalities they've worked with, what teachers they have embraced, what they learned from that, right? And so depending on their answers, it gives me a really solid foundation to know whether or not I can work with this particular individual. It matters not if the person is wealthy or not, or beautiful, or whatever color of skin, whatever religion, whatever generation. That, to me, in this sense, I would say that it doesn't matter whom I work with in that context, but I am looking for someone who is understanding the basic concepts of personal development. And so what do I mean by that? I basically mean someone who understands the concept of personal responsibility. Do they need to be perfect at it? No, but they have to understand. So what I'm sharing with you is a little bit more of my criteria. So for example, if I need to point out someone's blind spot, for example, then I need to, sorry about that. So if I need to point out somebody's blind spot for their growth, or I need to provoke them just a little bit, so to entice and elicit some questions, I need to be able to do that. And so if I'm working with someone that is completely ignorant of this kind of process, of course, once I've explained to them this is the way I work, but if they still don't understand the concept, then for me and for my professionalism to be a professional, I probably wouldn't be able to work with this kind of individual. So these are just some things I want to share with those of you. Again, it's not that I'm doing it wrong or somebody else is doing it wrong. I just choose who I want to work with, because I am a big believer of what the former humanistic psychologist Carl Rogers said, is that creating this relationship, a client-centered relationship, is extremely important. Building upon that. For me, it's important as a practitioner to build some form of bridge with a client, with the person I'm working with. Is it always possible? Is it always necessary? Maybe not. I mean, there's been times where perhaps I haven't been able to do that to the degree that I would like. However, again, I'm fortunate, and my mindset is one that if I'm going to be speaking in a consultation with a client and I'm asking questions, I'm also making sure that I'm getting them a flavor of the way I work and talk a little bit about me and see if that fits their criteria as well. So there are some basic principles in order for me, or how I discern that I want to work with someone who is really not going to give me a difficult time. You know, someone who's going to be extremely argumentative during sessions and so forth. They probably either need to go to therapy, or maybe they might seek out psychiatry where they can perhaps be on medication or so forth if it's too much for them. Now, I'm not saying I don't work with people on medication. I do, actually. What I was referring to was if someone is really in a very bad state. And that's why we have these agreements in place, right? We have people sign for things in order to protect themselves and protect us as coaches and practitioners. So to wrap it up, for me as a practitioner, it's extremely important that when I'm consulting with someone, that they're actually going to benefit. It is more important to me that they benefit from our session rather than collecting money or just saying I'm going to work with anyone. Can I work with difficult people? I can, but in the context of difficulty, I mean someone who is hardwired a certain way, if that's how you want to put it. I'm okay with that. I'm not afraid of that. I just want to make sure that the relationship I have with the person that I'm working with is one that is solid, one that is built on trust. And that's what's important to me. Okay, I hope this video has been helpful to all of you, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.